Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. It's Friday the 19th of June. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff and Tam McManus are here with me. We're delighted to have your company. If you've enjoyed our content over the period of lockdown and before that, then don't forget to like, share and follow. Let's have a watch party. Why not? With all your pals. Tell them. If you're on YouTube, subscribe as well. We'd love to have you as part of our football family. Although, as you can imagine in Scottish football, there are a few dissenters. I noticed on our Twitter account today, Roughie, that the guy said, "Hi, I really love the football show, but since Tam's come on, that's it. I can't stand him. I'm not going to watch anymore." to which I replied, "Don't be like this, Stevie. Take your seat, and when he comes on, just boo him." It's as simple as that, Roughie, isn't it? He's the panto villain.
Does Stevie give any indication of what team is his persuasion?
No, he just said
it doesn't matter. It's just Tam.
It doesn't matter. It's just Tam. And to be fair, by the way, he did mention he was one of Tam's cousins, but that's how it all goes, to be honest with you. But you know you're doing something right, to be perfectly honest with you, when these things come up. But Steve, we'd love you to be part of the family. Keep it going. Anyway, there's lots of things to talk about, but I always like to try to the absolute best of my ability to react to things that are breaking. And I'm just getting a story which is just going to be coming out from Dundee United that I'll be reading. And also, I can tell you, we'll be hearing from Neil Lennon as Celtic get back to, first of all, training. Then it'll be contact training. And then they'll be looking towards starting the season, trying to defend their crown, if indeed that can all take place, because we're all up in arms about what's going on at the moment, because suddenly, Roughie, it's emerged that this could be a situation where, depending on how it goes with the claim for compensation, there could be a possible ban on Dundee United, Wraith Rovers and Cove Rangers being champions as well from this case between Hearts and Partick Thistle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, obviously, Peter, I don't know the legal side of that, why we have to go down that road. Maybe it's a procedure you have to do if you're claiming for that kind of thing. You have to put other things in place, and it is pretty hard on Dundee United, obviously, and Cove, but there is no fairness now, so why stop there? It is unfair for that to happen to them, but everybody else is shown, they're looking after themselves. So I think that's where we are now. I think it's Anne Budge is threatened to go to court for day one because of everything that's went down. So unfortunately, as everybody says, there has to be casualties. And I hope it's not. I hope Dundee United aren't, and I hope Cove aren't. I hope that it's a legal procedure you have to go down, because it would be totally unfair, just as it is unfair in Hearts and Thistle and Stranraer.
Yeah, and with that in mind, the release has just come out from Dundee United. I'm going to read it here. On Wednesday, Dundee United, Wraith Rovers and Cove Rangers were served with a petition lodged in the Court of Session by fellow SPFL member clubs Hearts and Partick Thistle, which, if successful, could prevent our clubs' promotions and potentially have catastrophic financial implications for every SPFL member club as well. Whilst we are extremely unhappy that we've been drawn into this legal action, we can confirm that we immediately instructed external lawyers to act on our behalf to protect our club's interests. Since the SPFL resolution was passed by 81% of member clubs on the 15th of April, which confirmed us as title winners who are to be promoted, we have undertaken extensive and costly preparations for a new season in new leagues, including obtaining major financial commitments from our supporters, business partners and stakeholders. Our removal from those leagues would be ruinous on and off the field. We have had a highly successful season brought to a premature end by something bigger than our clubs and bigger than our sport. Our status as champions of our respective leagues is not being contested, and nor should the promotion which has always and should always come with it. The legal action that has been raised by Hearts and Partick Thistle not only threatens the financial stability of the SPFL, but also its individual member clubs. For all these reasons, we must and will robustly defend our position. As legal proceedings are now underway, we will make no further comment on the matter at this time. Well, the only way to sum it up now, Tam, is all hell has let loose.
It is, Peter. It's a shambles. I mean, listen, there's no way that can happen. I think we spoke about it on Wednesday. I think the best course of action for everyone here is for Hearts and Partick Thistle to get settled out of court and get this over and done with. Because if this goes to court and you're talking about not promoting people either, you know, no relegations. I mean, when do we start the season? I mean, clubs could go bust by the time we start the season again. I think there's only one way around this, and I think Hearts and Partick Thistle are due compensation. I think they're unfairly treated, so I think they are due money from the SPFL clubs. How much? I don't think it'll be £8 million or £2 million to Thistle, but if we can sort something out and give them some sort of money for compensation and stop this going to court, because if this goes to court, Peter, I mean, honestly, as you just said, all hell could break loose. I mean, we don't know when the season could start and how many clubs will be actually there to start it.
Yeah, now, I would clarify this, and Patrick McManus said that he felt as if the entire panel was so in favour of Partick Thistle, Hearts and Stranraer that there was no real kind of a balance on the opposite end of this. Well, you know, what I can say is everybody's got their opinion on this, Patrick, and, you know, we, again, accept what your opinion might be, and other people have suggested on this programme, especially on Facebook and YouTube, that we should move on and just, that's it. Hearts should take their punishment, Thistle, Stranraer as well. But if so many of the pundits have that opinion and it's similar, then there's nothing I can do about it. What I can say is that we're in a situation now where I've read some chairmen, some chief executives are really angry, furious at this and what's happening with Hearts and Partick Thistle. Well, my only point on this, and again, there's a balance to be struck here, Roughie, but my only point on this is you're furious. So basically, you've kicked them, but you don't want to be kicked back.
Yeah, as I said, I think, Peter, it's a legal process. They've been advised by the QC or whoever it is to say, look, if you're going down this road for compensation, you have to bring these other things into the equation. Yeah, I don't think for a minute Jackie and Ann Budge want to stop the August the 1st. I think they want some reasoning somewhere, and Tam's touched on it. If it's compensation, it's compensation. You know, but I don't think both the three clubs should walk away. And I'm not obviously including Kelty and Barora in that. Everybody seems to have forgotten about them and other teams like Falkirk. I don't think they should walk away and just say, okay, let's move on. Well, everybody else is, you know, just doing what they're doing. We don't even know what they're doing in the first and the second division. I touched on it yesterday that I'm led to believe that there's some things in motion for no promotion or relegation next year because of the lack of games getting played. That's getting muted in some divisions. I was talking to Barry this morning, and Barry was saying that Kelty have actually been informed that there'll be no promotion next year. So where does that put them? 2 years without promotion. That is, how do they deal with that? You know, we're supposed to be in a pyramid structure that promotes people from all the divisions, the Kelty and the juniors, and they've bought into that. You know, the whole thing, we've spoken about it on lots of occasions, it's self-preservation. So my attitude now is everybody else has looked after themselves, so why shouldn't the other three clubs do likewise? Because they're the ones that are losing the money out of this. None of the 26 others are losing any money out of it. They're not suffering. They're not losing players. They're not putting their players out of the game. Their livelihoods at stake. So I don't think there's no reason why these three clubs should walk away.
Yeah, well, that's not wholly true, Roughie. I have to intervene there on that basis because of the financial hardship of COVID-19. A lot of clubs are actually suffering pain, just not to the degree that the three clubs you mentioned, and one of them your own, are suffering. That's an even greater penalty. But Michael McClay on Facebook says, I doubt it'll get to court as they've breached the SPFL's Articles of Association, so there will be sanctions against the two clubs involved. Well, listen, Claire White, the compliance officer, is looking at this situation because, you know, if they've broken the Articles of Association, should they have contacted the SFA first to, enlighten them of what the procedure was and what they were doing? If that's in the rule book that member clubs have to inform the host association of their intentions, then they may well have broken that rule. The other aspect of this, Tam, is if they have broke the Articles of Association, there are various penalties that can be handed out here. Now, This ranges from suspension, expulsion, a fine. But as I look at this, Tam, I am saying to you, when a club is drowning, do you really think it matters whether somebody suddenly hits them over the head with a hammer?
No, listen, Peter, it's a shambles. I mean, listen, at the very, very start of this, no club should have been worse off than that. Listen, I agree. Hearts and Partick Thistle should be taking this the whole way. You know, they've been very unfairly treated. If this goes to court, and I hope it doesn't, Peter, because if it does, you know, I really, really fear for some of our clubs. You know, if it goes to court and there's injunctions put in place and the season doesn't start, no one knows what league they're going to be in. You know, the clubs are going to go bust. I mean, you look at just now, Aberdeen, Hibs, even Dundee today, you know, have came out and they're really, really struggling. Clubs are really, you know, they're lying, you know, gasping for air. So for me, I want this sorted out as quickly as possible. I'm sure everyone does. And the only way I can see this happening, Peter, is Hearts and Partick Thistle getting settled out of court, getting money that they're happy with, and then the league starts when it's supposed to start. Because if it drags on any longer, I really, really feel the worst for Scottish football.
Yeah,
Peter,
and with that,
yep. I was going to say something,
Roughie.
Peter, and now before I say it, please correct me if I'm wrong in what I'm saying, because I'm casting my mind back to the started, and I don't want to go down the road of the Dundee vote and the yes and the no. But I remember after an interview with John Nellums where he reassured everybody that whoever he talked to reassured them that there will be compensation for Partick Thistle and Hearts. Along what lines, I don't know. He talked about games being organised to help the compensation. Not a dicky bird. Not a mention of it at all. So that's a question. The question I would like to know is, who did he talk to? Who reassured him that there was going to be reconstruction on the cards, which there was? So I think the big question is, somebody needs to come forward and say where all these promises came from.
Well, with all due respect, Roughie, and again, I would cast my mind back and highlight to you the fact that John Nellums suddenly had himself elevated into a position where he had no authority to strike deals, to offer deals, to suggest deals in any capacity whatsoever. And I can remember specifically this whole affair where there were suggestions of, we're going to put together friendlies. We're going to, there'll be compensation. None of this came from the authorities who would be able to dish out compensation. This was all hearsay, chats, various promises that were from Never Never Land. So that whole nonsense has to be completely and utterly distanced from, because that will never stand up anywhere, because nobody's got it in writing that there was going to be some form of compensation, some friendlies put together, anything in a financial package. So you should dismiss anything that came out of John Nellums' mouth in that period. He had no authority. But the one thing I would say, and I think there are two elements to this, Tam, and I think you're right. I think they've got to eventually get to a situation where they quickly, and I'm talking about within the next week, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yep.
Here's your money. Do what the Dutch FA did. The Dutch FA were facing various court cases, and to avoid the court cases, they paid out some hefty compensation to stop the court action to clubs that were being affected either by relegation, a position that they may well have finished in the league, which denied them entry possibly into Europe, and of course the failure to finish cup competitions. So this time around, I think we've got to get to a situation where they somehow get them and say, okay, here's the figure we're going to offer you. And then if they say, well, you're not close to where we want, get into a middle ground where they can suddenly say, okay, we can survive. I think that's the only way to do it.
Yep, I agree 100%, Peter. It's the only way we're going to get around this. As I said, if this goes to court, I don't think the SPFL want this to go to court for a number of reasons. I think that obviously a lot of stuff will have to come out from the voting system. I think if it goes to court, a lot of people would be quite happy, because SPFL, Neil Doncaster would be on oath and have to tell what really happened in the voting, which was a shambles as well. But I agree with you. I think this has got to get sorted. I think they've got to get around the table, whether it's the SPFL, Hearts, Partick Thistle, the lawyers, and they really thrash out, this is what we want, this is what we can give you. And as you said, you find some middle ground and you get this done and nipped in the bud quickly, because it's not doing anyone any good in Scottish football for this to go to the courts or to drag on for a number of weeks.
Yeah, hi to Dougie Liddle, who's always with us, offering an opinion. Niall Kane as well, and of course Mickey Gordon, Gary McGurn as well, George Donaldson, Graham Doherty. Lots of people want to offer their opinion on this when there are so many people. Obviously, some people are more passionate than others about this. Bobby Nichols says, "I don't like saying this, but we told you so." 10 million, but to be perfectly honest with you, Bobby, it's something that I think on this programme we are very much in favour of the case that's being put forward by Hearts, Partick Thistle and Stranraer, and have been since the very start of this debacle. But I do feel the narrative, Roughie, and the feeling of opinion will slightly change over the next couple of weeks. Once I think it's going to become poisonous unless this is resolved quickly. I think what will happen is there will be, and I'm only saying to you, there will be some kind of twist that will bring about the real wrath of people's anger towards the three clubs. They've just got to put that to the side and stay solid.
Yeah, I think they will, Peter. I think the poison's there already. I think the clubs who voted for it and against it, I think we all know who they are. I think we'll discuss it on the show. There will be a lot of relations spoiled, a lot of good company. We'll have to go over it, as you say. Time changes things like that, But immediately, you're right. There will be a lot of fallouts. There'll be a lot of anger as well. That's why I agree with Tam and yourself. If something has to be sorted out, it has to be sorted out, because it's obvious that Hearts and Partick Thistle aren't going to walk away for this.
No, absolutely not. Give us your opinion. You can like, share and follow us on YouTube and, of course, Facebook as well. Okay. I'm not quite sure what's happened to... Can you hear me, Roughie? I'm just testing you there. You just get that blank.
Yeah, I'm fine, yes. No,
okay.
Fine.
Right, okay. The other things I'm going to talk about, we're going to hear from Neil Lennon. Of course, Neil Lennon was standing in front of the Premiership trophy today. We'll hear from Neil Lennon very shortly. I'm laughing because it must have been my producer. He must have fallen off his seat there, Roughie, and just kept your face up there. Anyway, apart from that, the board, SPFL board, are meeting. If you have just joined us, Dundee United have said that the implications of not getting promotion catastrophic for them. And off the back of that, Tam, you're right to highlight it. Dundee have said they've lost half of their projected revenues, and the real worrying phrase from Dundee is unsustainable stress of finances. Now that tells you, never mind Dundee United, that's Dundee in the Championship. And we have a situation where Hibs are looking to axe the youth academy, albeit it may be in a short-term basis, and they're already discussing with players wage cuts, and they've said at Easter Road that no player will be signed until the existing players go back on full-time wages.
Yeah, quite rightly, Peter. I mean, can you imagine being a player there and you're taking a cut in wages and then go out and sign someone else? It's totally unacceptable, morally wrong. So Hibs are doing the right thing. I don't think any club who are enforcing wage cuts on players should be even looking in the transfer market. They should be looking to square up their current staff, look after them, and then once they're all up to date, then you can go and look at buying new players. Dundee, one of my old clubs, in a real mess. I think they've got $500,000 insurance claim in. For whether they win that could be critical for them to win that case. They're actually saying that that obviously the pandemic, if they can get paid out that $500,000, that would be massive for Dundee. Whether they win that against the insurance companies is another thing. But clubs all over the place are really struggling, Peter, and now it's really starting to bite. We spoke about it, in March, April, but now we're into June, July. There's still, there's possibly no crowds at all in Scottish football for the rest of the year. It's unsustainable for our clubs, and we need a hand from the Scottish government or someone, because another 2 months down the line, there could be clubs really, really close to going bust, which has been an absolute shame. Clubs that have been around for over 100 years, so they need help.
Yeah, they do. All of these clubs are slowly but surely, one by one, releasing press statements which are talking about a doomsday scenario. One by one, Roughie, they're doing it. I mean, I can't even see... there was talk in the papers. It might just have been paper talk. Johnny Hayes signing for Aberdeen, going back to Aberdeen. That can't happen if you're talking to players about taking wage cuts. Johnny Hayes won't be going to Aberdeen. Not a player would stand for that.
No, you're right. And Tam's right as well. There's a moral thing in this as well. You have to look after the players that have been doing well for you throughout the last 2 or 3 seasons. You have to look after them. Obviously, some will be moved on. But it's a horrible, horrible time. It's a horrible time at any time of year for players, for looking for security for their families. And this must be just horrendous. Absolutely. I don't know where some of them, are the individual. Forget about the clubs. What were the players? How are they going to survive? Once they're released and no clubs are signing anybody, it's just unthinkable. I think we're near enough. The part-time clubs saying, look, we can't play football until there's people come into our grounds. I think you've got a lot of the part-time clubs saying, no, we're just going to release our players. We're not going to sign any players until we need to, and then we'll build a team when we have to.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to hear from Neil Lennon shortly as well. Edward Wilson, I'm going to read out some things, positive and negatives on this, and obviously do my usual on a Friday. Edward Wilson's on YouTube. He says, hopefully Hearts will go like Rangers. Edward, this is not the show for you. You be as well going on one of those cretin sites where you can spew your bile out. It's as simple as that. Everybody's getting leathered who is irresponsible and has no modicum of compassion or brains to actually give a point of view on this one, because quite simply, if you think Hearts and Partick Thistle and Stranraer are wrong, tell us. It's a football show, but don't be abusive and just have your head in the gutter. It's a football show where we like to know your opinion on it, because we're not necessarily right on this. There are a number of clubs who have every right to be furious. There are a number of clubs who will be looking at the legal issues here, Roughie, going over it with a fine-tooth comb. But I can't believe, and I don't know about you, Roughie, I can't believe when we started lockdown 3 months ago on this programme, we were aghast at some of the conduct of the clubs before reconstruction was even on. We were talking about calling the season. Then we went into a middle section which we thought couldn't get any lower. We're now at the end of the pandemic, or hopefully coming towards the end of the pandemic for a short period anyway, and we're still in the gutter. I'm talking about all the clubs. The fighting has just intensified.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, Peter, because everybody that gives an opinion that hasn't associated to any club, whether it's a retired football or whatever, and every interview they do, they all look at the common sense of the whole thing. Do a 14-10-10-10, and it solves all these problems. It solves all these court cases. It solves all the clubs talking about shutting down. Just because you're adding 2 teams to a league and you're getting a hit for maybe 100,000 or 150, and then everybody else, don't look at just your own wee bit. Look at what everybody else is suffering, and that's in the rule book as well, as David Winnie told us. In rule, whatever it is, says there should be fairness towards fellow member clubs. All that. I mean, I wouldn't like to go into depth about this rule book that the SPFL have got, but certainly that everybody seems to be just picking bits that they want to pick. That's why I don't think they want to go. That's why I think they don't want to go to court, because there's too many things in that rule book that people will bring up they don't want to hear.
The ironic thing is, obviously you've got the Premier League clubs who are going to lose, as you said, maybe 100 grand. They'll probably lose more than that if they have to pay out a settlement. Yeah. All the clubs are going to get billed. Yeah. It's not just one club. All the clubs are going to get billed, so you end up losing more by not voting for reconstruction, having to pay Hearts and Partick Thistle off. So it's just ridiculous.
But can I tell you something, Tam? And we've missed out something here. Even if they had voted for reconstruction, if they had said, yep, we're going to have reconstruction, some clubs wouldn't have been worse off. Some clubs would have been in a situation where they could have applied to the SPFL Trust for the £3 million that James Anderson had put in. Some clubs could have then applied to that trust again, because he said, it's not just the 3 million. I'm going to continue to support clubs in difficulty. So it was a simple process. This could all have been solved by a simple situation. Get the 2 clubs up, bring in Brora and Kelty. There's a safety net here with a billionaire. A billionaire is offering money to you to help you if you are on the edge of the cliff staring at the abyss. So
the money,
we had that.
Peter,
that option.
The money they're going to get now, the money they've got off of James Anderson, they're basically just going to pay back out out of court to Hearts and Partick Thistle. That's going to happen.
But no,
I can just see it now.
Absolutely, but you know, it's like us all walking together hand in hand on a peace march, and then we decide, no, look, there's a big kick-off in that pub. Let's all get in there and start battering each other. That sounds like a good option. That's the option we've chosen. Instead of going forward peacefully with a collective attitude, a moral attitude of let's try and protect all of us together, they've all decided let's have a kick-off. Let's all batter each other. And that's what we're faced with here. It's absolutely incredible. Anyway, you can give us your thoughts on it. And Keith Gilchrist, and I'm not going to knock this. I mean, I know some people might think, but Keith Gilchrist has taken the time to actually email us and says, regarding your current discussions in the Hearts and Partick compensation, should Rangers also get compensation for being denied the chance to win the league? Somewhere along the line, some people could actually, I mean, I don't think for a minute Rangers would do that, but you wouldn't be surprised, you know, when you look at some of the other leagues. I mean, that's what happened in the Dutch league. Clubs were denied a certain finishing in the table because the season would end prematurely. I mean, Keith, I've read your point out. I don't think it would happen. I'm sure people would absolutely go mental at your point, but it is a point.
Falkirk could do that as well, Peter, I suppose.
Absolutely. It's put across
and the teams,
well.
The playoff places could argue that they've been denied a playoff place. So there could be lawsuits all over the place. You could open up the biggest can of worms ever if you go down that road.
Lynn on YouTube says, Hearts and Partick Thistle have already said they will not try and stop the league starting. Well, Lynn, I can tell you they are shifting day by day, minute by minute. And right now, because of the letter that Dundee United have highlighted they've received from Hearts and Partick Thistle, quite simply, there's no chance of league starting if Dundee United can't start in the Premiership, Tam. That's what that email's all about. That's what that letter to Dundee United's all about. The Premiership's not starting if those three are denied access to their respective leagues.
No, it's not starting, and that's the the first kind of parting shot. You know, you're not going to start the league without us, you know, getting some sort of action, some sort of money. So no, I think you're totally correct. I think that Dundee United, that is a major issue now. You know, if they don't get promoted into the Premiership. You know, this has got to get settled out of court, Peter. It really has, because it's a shambles. It's so bad just now. Things are coming out every day, and you just think, what's next? You know, and this season could start next year.
Okay. I used to get to a situation, I don't know if you're aware of it, Roughie, where because of my old friend Hugh Keevans at Radio Clyde, when we worked together, sometimes in the morning when I went to work, Roughie, he would phone me and he'd moan for 25 minutes solid. He wouldn't have one positive thing to say to me, just moan. And then eventually I'd say to him, is there any good news? And he'd go, no, and slam the phone down. and I feel as if we're half an hour into a show, there's not been one bit of good news on it at all. I mean, it's incredible the way this whole Scottish football is panning out. And I do apologise. I really do wish at times, you know, we could talk about the positives of football, great goals, all of that. But not here in Scotland. We're involved in a major set too. Okay, let's hear from Neil Lennon. He was out there with his captain, Scott Brown, and James Forrest today. They had the Premiership trophy out. They were obviously keen to talk about, first of all, winning 9 in a row and then moving towards the defence of their title and trying to get 10 in a row. Seems like a long way off if you look at the evidence of today. But as far as the playing to empty stadiums, I did ask Neil Lennon if he was resigned to the fact that fans wouldn't be in stadia before January.
Not resigning to the fact, no. I think, I think as we go along, we're seeing more and more positive sort of feedback from other associations in other countries that it may be sooner than January.
Now, on the evidence of that, Tam, Celtic with the SRU have put together a document just stating how they plan to follow the measures of Chief Medical Officer, of, you know, the testing, safe distance between fans going into a ground. They've put all this together to the Scottish Government to have a look over to see if they could be the initial testing grounds for games with a limited amount of supporters.
Peter, that would be fantastic. Any sort of income from supporters would be more than welcome by every club. I think you look at Murrayfield, 67,000-seater stadium, you know, with proper social distancing, you know, you could get, I don't know, 15,000 in there. You know, Hearts and Hibs could go in there and get social distancing. in terms of Celtic as well, go through to Murrayfield, get the testing done. Any sort of supporters in before the end of this year, I think, is a huge bonus, because we've all kind of resigned ourselves, particularly on this show, that there'll be no supporters in any stadiums before the end of the year. So if it's done properly, you seen Nicola Sturgeon yesterday, the numbers are really, really coming down. I think from a high of 200, being admitted to hospital with COVID, it's now down to single figures. So we're really, really making a lot of progress. I don't think this is ever going to go away, really, but if we can just keep driving that number down, then you never know, we could get supporters back in again.
Yeah, you just wonder, and again, Neil Lennon was talking about the possibility of, first of all, getting into the contact training, then getting ready for the start of the season. The start of the season involves friendlies, and this is what the Celtic manager had to say about that.
That's a bit of a headache at the minute for us, in terms of trying to get some competitive friendlies. That sounds like an oxymoron, but you know what I'm trying to say. Get them some game time and trying to, sort of confirm these clubs and these games going forward. We may have the opportunity to play on a wee mini tournament as we go along as well. That's another sort of avenue we're pursuing as well.
Friendlies, Roughie, good luck with that. I think, Neil, I think later on in that interview was talking about the potential of playing friendlies against fellow Premiership clubs, because, if you get to a situation where the quarantine's still in place, people have to isolate for 14 days in the country.
Yeah, I think it's very apparent that footballers want some kind of play before you hit the serious stuff, whether it's friendlies behind closed doors, going to the training ground and having a bounce game, because the competitive game is what you need before you go into the real stuff. And it's going to be harder for players as well. Obviously, we know no spectators in the ground. That's going to be a tough one to get your head round as well. So I think match fitness is a big thing. But there's only so many of them have got the complexes like Rangers and Celtic have got, that you could go and do these things. But I tend to agree with Neil. I know we all think January, but I'm thinking before the end of the year. We're now seeing all the shops opening up. We're seeing people going into shops. I think people appreciate the 2 metre thing now, but I think if it gets cut to a metre, the stadiums like a Murrayfield, as Tam said, could get 15,000, 20,000 in. I don't know about transporting supporters to games. I don't know how you get your head around that one, buses and all that stuff. I think that's a difficult one. I think once you're in the stadium, I think it's easier to handle. I think it's actually getting there and getting in.
Tell you one thing, Tam, I wouldn't like to get into a stadium if there's no vaccine. I think there's got to be something in place before you get to mass gatherings, although on the evidence of what we've witnessed with various people going out to protest, some people don't care about the rules.
Yeah, you're right, Peter. As I said, you've got to have safety first always. We're all wanting to get crowds back into football. Clubs are desperate for it, but people's health has to come first. This, as I said to you, it's still out there. This virus. Okay, we're driving the numbers down, and it's great. But if we get a second peak, or whatever, a second wave of it, then we're all banging trouble and back to square one. So we've just got to tread carefully, I think, in terms of this. Celtic, I think, could get 15,000, 20,000 into Murrayfield, but as Roughie says, getting them there and back, buses, cars, does everybody take their own car? Toilets, I think, is another issue. I think that'd be a real hotspot for the virus, to kind of explode again, getting into toilets, especially men's toilets. A lot of guys don't really clean their hands. So, no, listen, tread carefully. But if we get any supporters back in before the end of the year, listen, we'll all be delighted. Yeah,
never thought I'd hear on this programme talking about going for a slash, Roughie, but Tam's fired it onto the programme. There you are. Who would have thought we were going to talk about going for a P? I mean, Tam, come on. It's such a good point, Tam. It really is such a good point. But anyway, don't go there anymore. No, shut up. You see what you do? You give Roughie half a chance. He's in with the other line. But no, I'm not going to let you go for it. Anyway, apart from anything else, Neil Lennon. Now, here's the interesting thing. Two elements of this. The first one is everybody was keen to know about the situation where, Celtic are not exempt from the financial, pain that everybody's going under. Okay, they run their club prudently, and they are in a very strong financial position, but they're losing a lot of money as well. And the first thing was that Neil Lennon was asked us about the two players that don't belong to Celtic that he's hoping to try and keep. He hasn't ruled out the possibility of El Yunusi and Forster being at Celtic for the new season.
I don't think it's unrealistic, so again, the two players who added a lot to the squad last year made a really positive contribution. So, there would be two players that we'd dearly love to have for next season, but, we'll just have to wait and see. They're not our players. See how negotiations go. It's good to see them back and involved, and it would give us continuity if we get those two in.
And off the back of that, I did ask him if he wasn't able to make signings, would he be confident of winning the league with the current squad that he has for 10 in a row?
Yeah, I'd be very confident with the players that we have at the minute. They finished the last season really strongly. The second half of the season was fantastic. They were so consistent, and we got real quality and depth. Obviously, as a manager, you're always looking to add to that if you can. But if it was the shot now, I'd be very happy with what I've got.
Oh, that's a big call, isn't it, Tam?
Yeah.
I agree with him. I think Celtic have got enough to win the league again next year if they don't lose anyone. I think Forster would be a huge signing. Peter, I think everyone would appreciate that. He was tremendous for Celtic, a real presence at the back for them, especially in the big games. But the guys in there who, like Rogic and different guys who couldn't get in the team, they've got real strength and depth in there. They've got 3 or 4 right backs, if they're all fit. So, I think it's Rangers. Rangers have to go and strengthen. They have to go and take it off Celtic. I think Celtic will just go next year and go again. They're winners. They know how to get the job done. Rangers need to go and sign quality to go and wrestle the league off of Celtic. Rangers need to go and buy. We've spoke about it before. 4 or 5 real quality players that can go into the team. That's going to cost money. I think Celtic, even if they add Forster and keep the squad there, I think they'd have more than enough if Rangers don't strengthen.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Rangers and Steven Gerrard in a minute, but I did put one final point to Neil Lennon, which was, does he hope that Scottish football shows solidarity with what was happening in England with everyone taking a knee for the Black Lives Matter campaign?
It's becoming more apparent, and no player should have to suffer because of the prejudice against them just because of the colour of their skin, and certainly at a club like ours, we take great pride in opening the doors to anyone, and we will show solidarity with all black players and black coaches as well.
It would be nice if they showed that solidarity, Roughie, up here as well. That would be, I think, well, I am also, as an ambassador for Show Racism and the Red Card, I would like, yes, by all means, take a knee, but let's see some constructive talks, some definitive things in place to help people, because gestures and holding up cards and all that is not what it's all about. It's actually action.
Yeah, I thought the English League was very good. I think it touched the right note to everybody. I think it was very passionate what they did, and I'm sure that our clubs will follow suit. I think we have to now. I think we have, as you said there, we have to realise that we have to do more, much more. And if we're all pulling in the right direction, as they are in England, and if we do it up here, it'll show people the right message out there that it's no longer going to, be tolerated. And if our clubs can do that to get through to the supporters, even better.
Yeah, you mentioned there, you were talking about it, Tam, about Rangers will have to respond and have to obviously make, signings to get the fans excited. Steven Gerrard's certainly excited about it. He mentioned in an interview on Rangers TV that there was exciting things brewing. He's talked about getting some good friendlies to get everybody excited as well. Now, that, for me, suggests that if Liverpool win the league shortly, Liverpool could be heading to Ibrox. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out that would be a real howitzer of a game if you could get fans into the ground. Yeah,
well, that'd be huge. It'd be a sellout. It'd be a few quid in the bank for Rangers. But I think Steven Gerrard, listen, up until January, up until the winter break, they were right neck and neck with Celtic. They showed that they could match Celtic. And they showed they were the better team. I think even in the cup final, obviously Celtic won, but in the league game, they were the better side and deserved to win the game at Parkhead. So I think he's he's probably thinking he just needs a few bits of quality in, and to sustain that run for longer next season, to give themselves an opportunity. Because, up until, there was in the balance, but Celtic showed their strength and depth, I think, after the winter break. They rattled off wins, win. They kept winning, and that kept putting the pressure on Rangers. Rangers couldn't handle it. They fell apart when the pressure was on, and that's a big thing. Celtic have been there and they've done it. They can handle the pressure. Rangers have still to prove they've got the bottle for the battle.
Yeah, and of course, over and above that, it's all about getting fans excited. For me, Roughie, Rangers fans will be excited if they can suddenly land a couple of what I always call the blue chip signings. Hadji has lifted spirits. Now they need another couple, maybe something to supplement the front line. I always felt they were a striker short, a real quality striker. I don't know about you, but I think it's the signings that will really galvanise the support.
Yeah, I think any signings in the two big clubs excite the supporters. They want to go to work and talk about even signings that might be coming in that don't come in, but the ones that do come in, it's fantastic. Again, with Rangers' point of view, as we've all spoke about, I don't think they've spent some money already. I think any players coming in will be on wages or loan or something like that. But you're right, any big, relatively known player coming into Rangers will make the Rangers fans think that this could be the year that they're going to stop Celtic.
Yeah, I'll tell you another thing. Of all the clubs and all the misery that we've been reporting on, Tam, a couple of clubs have just been in the slipstream, doing their own business. And before I mention them, I'll just say, rather worryingly, we had Les Gray on here, but rather worryingly for his club, 17 players were released. And Hamilton is usually a hotbed of where young players know they're going to get a chance to flourish. 17 players released there is worrying signs for the younger hopefuls who come through in the game.
Yeah, it is, Peter. There's always a huge turnover of players at Hamilton Accies every year, but I don't think they've ever released 17. And they're going to have to rebuild again. I think Hamilton are probably struggling a little bit as well at the moment, as are all clubs, but they've kept it quiet. They've lost the boy Alan McGowan, who was a very good player, the right back, to Kilmarnock. Mikael Miller, who was a good player as well, the striker, has left. So they have got a massive rebuilding job. Yes, I think Gogic has been obviously linked to Hibs, Peter, and linked to a few other clubs. I think he's a really good player, underrated. He sits in the middle of the park, and he keeps things ticking over and he can put his foot in. So I think he'd be ideal for a club like Hibs. But as we've spoke about, Hibs can't be signing anybody until they square up their players. So there's going to be a lot of players in limbo just now, waiting for the season to start and waiting for clubs to kind of settle with their players that they've got on the books just now, because you can't go and sign players when you've got guys on half money. It's just not right.
Yeah, and just so that we're not ducking the issue, but we certainly don't want to become totally and utterly immersed in it on this programme, but we do mention it and we do deal with racism. Reg Tate sent us a message on Facebook saying, get sectarianism sorted out. That's never been sorted out in this country. It's another issue again, Reg. You're absolutely 100% correct, and it all comes under that umbrella we were talking about with show racism, the red card, kick sectarianism out of football as well. There are so many different campaigns that all come under trying to stop the prejudice of any individual from any background, ethnic minority, or indeed it's race, creed, colour. It should not matter. Everybody should be treated equally and certainly not abused. And it's a long, hard fight. Whether we'll ever win it, I do not know, Reg. I don't have the answer to it. But on this programme, we are going to keep pushing the positive message of, yes, follow your club. Yes, be passionate about it. Yes, Roughie, put across your point of view on your club, but do it in a way that's decent towards people, try and show a modicum of decency. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think we were all hoping it's a generation thing, that a generation would move on and the younger generation would be taught accordingly, whether it's at school or at home. This is the way you behave. So hopefully in the next 5-10 years, the element that we don't want to see at games move on, and a younger generation come in with the proper knowledge that we're hoping that they'll take when they come into the game.
Yeah. Although, to be perfectly honest with you, Roughie, your generation, my generation, Tam's generation, every generation of the last 300-400 years, maybe this generation needs to actually teach their parents and their grandparents a few things about how to behave and conduct themselves. They need to be educated. Okay, a couple other things I want to talk about. The two clubs I mentioned, Tam, St Mirren, 2-year deal for Richard Tate. They've just gone about their business and signed away, and Motherwell have signed 3 players. They've just managed to keep everything smoothly
Peter,
going along at the moment.
Do you know why that is? Because they're 2 very, very well-run clubs. And I think you look at the clubs that you've not heard a peep from, your Motherwell, St Mirren, these clubs are well-run. And, and they've obviously had their wages in order. They've had a little bit of money tucked away for a rainy day, which I think some of the other clubs haven't. And it's came home to roost, and they've went and signed Richard Tate, good player, right back, very good 2-year deal. Motherwell signed Jordan White from Inverness, good striker as well. So both those clubs are just ticking away nicely, as you said, and I think it's because they've got a wee bit of money stuck away for a rainy day, and it's really serving them well just now because they're able to go and strengthen their squad while others are losing good players.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael Johnson says, is this a football show or a racism one? Michael, it's a football show that deals with racist issues, which are something to do with football. And we all have a responsibility, whether it's football, cricket, tiddlywinks, you name it. Shout out, shout them down, keep shouting it out until they actually pay heed to what you're saying, Michael. If decent people don't shout out, we get the morons taking over everything. Football shows, you name it. So we will continue to be a football show, but we'll continue to put out a positive message on how to behave. Okay, Roughie, I've watched a couple of English games. I'm going to try and warm to it. And then I turned round and obviously tonight, Tottenham against Manchester United is a really good one. The other one, Norwich against Southampton, is even with, if Norwich against Southampton, Roughie, had 50,000 people attending it, I don't even think I'd turn it on.
But the reason you wouldn't turn it on is because they've not got the big players, the international players that we all want to see. They've got that wee bit extra. Get back to the Man City game. I was quite pleased with the sort of a background noise at that game. The canned roar and the cheers, and I thought it was a lot better than some of the games that I've seen. That made it a wee bit better, but obviously everybody's got different ideas and what they're going to do, but I don't know what you would do for that Norwich game. I really don't.
Yeah, and Tam, you and I have explored, we've spoken to someone technologically speaking. Tam, we've put our money together with a number of people that we know so that if After Dinner Speaking comes back, there'll be canned laughter for Roughie when he does his first gig back,
That'd
the Millennium Dome.
A new lease of life for Roughie. That was like we'd add an extra 10. You'd get an extra 10 or 15 gigs out of that, Roughie boy.
Can you imagine I had a button?
Top up the pension.
A button. Imagine I had a button, Tam, and every time he did his gag.
Hey, don't kid yourself. There's been some gigs we've all wished with some canned laughter.
Roughie, you were right on both counts. Canned lager and canned laughter. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Oh yeah. Listen, there are times, Roughie, when you just, I don't know about you, Tam, but and this is great. This is the great thing about it. Lots of people who come on the program, not everybody's going to like you. If you want everybody to like you, you're off your head. But I can always tell. I don't know about you, Tam. I can always tell when I stand up. There's just a sense. I don't know if it's anything to do with my love of Star Wars, but there's a real sense. I know when some people in the audience hate me. It's just magnificent. I can see.
Is that when you take a gig in Larkhall?
Growling. I can see them growling. I mean, honestly, it's almost as if I know I'm in a negative situation. I have to try and win them over. But it's I love the nature of football fans. It's absolutely fantastic. Let's have a look at the fixtures then. If you were going to watch football, canned laughter or screaming or whatever. Norwich, Southampton, Tottenham, Man U, Watford, Leicester, Brighton, Arsenal, West Ham, Wolves, and Bournemouth, Crystal Palace. They're all 4 games on the 20th, on the Saturday, which I'm looking at those 4 games, and that suggests to me apart from maybe West Ham Wolves, which has got Davy Moyes, which is a Scottish interest. Apart from that, I'd probably go out on my bike for all 4 games there. It's Newcastle, Sheffield United, Aston Villa, Chelsea, Everton, Liverpool, and then Man City against Burnley, I beg your pardon. Everton, Liverpool, I cannot wait, Tam. That's going to be magic.
Yeah, it'll be a great game. Unfortunately, Arsenal couldn't get a result last night, so I think Liverpool still need another 2 wins to secure the league. It would be nice to do it against their rivals, but that should be a tasty game. No fans or not, there should be a few tackles flying about. It's a derby game. And it's great for the armchair fan. Listen, if you sit in front of the telly the next couple of days, a wee pack of beers and just sit there all day and have a few swallows and watch the football. Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing about that, Tam, is some people are going to end up like Jabba the Hutt before they get out of the house. The big problem is, the one thing I would never tire of, I'd never tire of listening to Jurgen Klopp, and why not? Let's hear what he has to say on this show as well.
And when we all started playing football, it was without crowd. When we play today football, if I play from time to time, not really often, it's without a crowd. I still want to win. So, and that's exactly how it is. So it's not a perfect situation, but it's as good as possible. And so that's what we are preparing for. And I will not miss it during the game because I know already that it's not there. But I'm really looking forward to it when the crowd will be back, I can tell you.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference, Roughie, but nevertheless, Jurgen Klopp sums up every professional footballer's attitude, every manager's attitude at any level. You want to win.
Yeah, and that's what supporters give you. If you're standing in a stadium, the stadium's full, it's an adrenaline rush. You know, footballers love it. You up your game. You know that the eyes of the world are on you, and that's when you perform. And generally 9 out of 10 times, the big players turn up. So these guys don't need crowds in the stadium to motivate them because they've got so much ability and so much class here and all these big sides down there that, yeah, they'll want the supporters there, but they'll just have to get on with what they've got.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Gary Adam has said, is Barry back on Monday with his flip-flops? We've missed Baz. He's had a wee break. He'll be back to annoy the life out of his Tam, and I'm looking forward to his return just to see what his Barnet looks like and obviously what he's got to say on the whole issue of the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, Barry's timed it right, I think. Take his 2-week break. You've just rattled on here about reconstruction and soon people and clubs, but he's timed it right. But good to see Barry back. Obviously, you'd be just spending a little bit of time in the man cave, you know, watching old Rangers games and when Staunch is in. So we're looking forward to the Staunch one's return.
Yes, we are, Tam. And of course, the other aspect of it is Barry took a wee couple of weeks break, but you've decided, even due to the public opinion here, you've decided to work on for the next 54 weeks. You're taking no breaks.
I have to, Peter. I have to put food on the table. I've not got much coming in now. I'm relying on the PLZ. Don't bin me. There's no the key to it all is that you're annoying people, Tam. That's the good thing about it. And of course, we need to keep the housewife's favourite Roughie there because you know, Roughie. Absolutely.
There are women up and down the country just hanging on your every word.
No, I actually think we should touch on the passion of the Hearts supporters for the Save the Tam McManus Fund. You know, because they're good. They're wonderful. You know, they're.
I'm getting
sure they would help it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you one thing. If our staff do is in the West End of Edinburgh, you'll not be coming. we used to have Christmas parties and staff parties, Roughie, worrying about how we could protect Barry. Now all we've got to think about is what venue can we get in without having a major kick-off with Bonzo here.
Exactly. There's that many cities we can't go to. It's a nightmare.
I've been relegated in every city.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, the good thing is, Tam, at least you've got an opinion on it. Listen, apart from anything else, I think quite a lot of us are hoping that we can see a little light at the end of the tunnel for fans getting back into grounds. But if I could just go back over, if you have just joined us and you missed it all, basically we've been talking about the situation which has arisen with Dundee United now coming out and saying the latest action, the latest letter that they've received is basically Hearts and Partick Thistle's case in the court has put a question mark over promotions as well, which Dundee United, Raith Rovers and Cove Rangers will be affected by, and they have at this moment sought legal counsel on this because it could be catastrophic for Dundee United, who've been preparing for life in the Premiership after their after all their efforts in the Championship. Not ideal, Roughie. I'm going to let you have the loud word on this. It's not ideal, the situation, but we're now in a situation where it's all-out war, and I don't know who's going to come out as a shining light to try and make peace break out.
Yeah, and I have to say again, it's not what Hearts and Partick Thistle wanted. I'm sure we all wanted the league reconstruction and whatever, to go through, and the status quo was the same. I don't think anybody's had a problem with promoting people who deservingly get promoted and have worked hard for it. And I think the basic thing was we just wanted everybody to be positive and nothing to be negative. And unfortunately, we've went down the road, of punishing teams financially and the clubs as well. And this is where we are now, and it is horrible. Nobody wants to go to court. Nobody wants to start fighting with other teams, because I've said to you before, and you've been about clubs as well, the relationship when you go and play other clubs is fantastic when you all meet and everything. There's a great harmony and a bond, you win, you lose, whatever. But this is going to make things different. You're right, this is turned into going to be a very, very bitter war. So that's why I hope it gets sorted out, because I don't think for a minute and Budge and, the rest of the Partick Thistle want this to go any further.
Roughie's worrying about his freebies in all the boardrooms, isn't he, Peter?
Well, I can tell you right now, Roughie
He's
has...
not getting any free pies now, Roughie.
Well, I can tell you right now, Tam, he has... somebody's broken into the house, obviously, to have a right go at him because they knew he was on the board. But I was going to say to you, Tam, he has invited me to the boardroom at Partick Thistle on a few occasions. I've only gone in once. I felt uneasy then because you know what it's like. They don't like journalists in boardrooms, and I felt uneasy. But I can tell you right now, Roughie, because you're at Partick Thistle, if my mate Gary Locke phones me and says, "How do you fancy coming into the boardroom?" I'll say thanks, but no thanks. I'll stay in the press room because those boardrooms are going to be frosty, Tam, for the whole year.
Oh, Roughie, you're in big trouble now, son.
Yeah,
you'll get allowed in.
As I say, it will be, because the relationship between a lot of clubs is very, very good, and that's why I'm saying that somebody brings up the articles of you should all go on together with your members' clubs. Everybody does that, but now it's all changed. It's got there is a very, very bitter thing going round just now, and I really do hope we can solve it and move on.
Yeah, good luck with that. Oops, there goes a flying pig. And on that note, from Roughie, Tam McManus, from myself, Peter Martin, to each and every one of you, thank you very much for watching us. Don't forget to like, share and follow us on Facebook. You can subscribe now by subscribing to the YouTube channel. There is no cost. It's as simple as that. You just subscribe. You'll get the latest updates on our unique video content with lots of people from all clubs right across the board. So if you subscribe, it doesn't cost you anything. You just join the football family of thoroughly decent football fans. Sometimes on the feed, it gets a little bit feisty and unsavoury, but thankfully, most of our followers are intelligent people who can look beyond that and listen to the football chat, and we love you for it. So from Tam, Roughie and myself, listen to Nicola Sturgeon, stay safe, keep your family safe until we can all, fingers crossed, somehow get back to watching Scottish football at its absolute best. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed.